Introduction. You never know what you say or do to make a lasting impression on someone, though, as a parent, your teachings are often deliberate with the expressed hope that your child will learn a particular lesson. I can think of countless lessons of that nature. Mom, you may, however, be surprised about the seemingly innocuous events that have made an indelible impression on how I think, live, and achieve peace. With this book, I want to share some of those memories with you and explain how they shaped my life. This book is intended to serve as a thank you note for being my mom. I love you. Vicky. Lesson 1. Don't be afraid of change and the unexpected. They are the only constants in this world. That's life. First, from you I learned that I shouldn't be afraid of change and the unexpected because they are the only constants in this world. That's just life. Because of you, getting lost, literally and figuratively, is never frightening to me. Every unknown road is just another path that will eventually lead me back home. Charles, Vicky, I'm going to get lost. You would say this every time we moved, just after the important boxes had been emptied. This was our signal for us to embark upon a big adventure that would help us get acclimated to our new community. You would drive down this road and that road toward whatever looked interesting. We would pass through beautiful neighborhoods, stop at both familiar and unfamiliar stores, and scout out our new schools. After a few hours, we would make our way back home without ever opening a map. I loved those times. Moving could be so disconcerting, but the thrill of these moments would pacify my anxiety. It made moving fun. As I grew older, I realized it did much more. It made the concept of change exciting. I encounter so many people from whom the thought of venturing out from their respective neighborhoods, cities, and states is just impossible. The same fear is found upon the thought of changing jobs, traveling, and most importantly, when attempting to respond to the unexpected. Yet, as the old saying goes, everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Change is the only constant in this world. In an instant, something could happen to derail the best laid plans. That's life. It amazes me how many people let these type of situations, both small and large, attack their very core. They stray far away from home without the means to get back. In my travels, I always make time to go out and get lost. I explore new territory. I also think of you in our mother-daughter days, when we would purposely get lost in those new towns and states where Daddy was stationed. I want you to know that this not simply a ritual held over from my childhood, but a mindset that has become a metaphor for my life. Now, no town is foreign to me. No unexpected situation is without an answer. Thanks to you, I know that no unplanned detour is more than a few turns away from home. Lesson 2. Do those things you want to do, even if it means doing them alone. The second major lesson that I learned from you was that I should do those things I want to do, even if it means I have to do them alone. Mom, I don't know if you've noticed that many of those Nike commercials all end with the phrase, just do it. Well, each time I see the ads, I remember a similar lesson I learned from you so many years ago. One Saturday, when I was about 12 years old, I wanted to go to the movies with some girls from school, but had not been invited. I was crushed. What made matters worse was that one of my closest friends was going with one of the other girls. When I told you about it, you simply asked me if I wanted to see the movie. I said yes. You told me to get in the car and you dropped me off at the Fort Leavenworth Post Theater. As luck would have it, the group arrived at the very same time and piled out of the car in front of us. I went in alone and a little embarrassed. Once in the theater, however, I really enjoyed myself. I will never forget it was the Disney picture called Support Your Local Sheriff. To this day, every time I see it on television, I think of that time long ago. More importantly, however, in that one afternoon, I learned that I did not have to wait for someone else in order to have fun. I now have no problem going to the movies alone. I bought a house alone. About 10 years ago, I even vacationed to Seattle alone because it was a place I had always wanted to visit. I had a great time. So often, people don't do things they want to do. They search for someone who shares all of their dreams, wants, and aspirations before they will act on them. Often, that person is never found. Thanks to you, Mom, I just do it. Lesson 3. Life is difficult sometimes. Find a place that you can sit and just let your cares just slip away. A third major lesson that I learned from you, Mom, was that when life seems difficult, I should find a place that I could sit and just let my cares just slip away. I remembered my beloved cat, Ticky, would often climb up on the roof of our house. When he was up there, he would look so content. It was like he was seeing the world from a whole new vantage point, and everything was fine. You saw it too, because you would smile and start singing that old song up on the roof. What stuck with me were his face, your smile, and the lyrics to that song. When this old world starts getting you down, I go up where the air is fresh and clean. I climb right up to the top of the roof, and all my cares just slip right into space. You were right, Mom. Life is difficult sometimes, and that's normal. But I have found solace in identifying, no matter where I've lived, a place that is my roof. I always have somewhere I can sit and let all my cares just slip right into space. Since my days at Hampton, my roofs have often been places with scenic views of the Chesapeake Bay. I release my worries into the bay and symbolically have them float away. It is a process that helps me look at my troubles through a new point of view. It gives me the kind of peace and clarity that I can most closely be described by the words of the song you would sing so long ago. Lesson 4. Little things mean a lot. Let those around you know you care. Mom, a fourth lesson that I learned from you, that it is important in little ways to let those around you know that you care. I love you presents were always a tradition in our family. Over the years, the presents have increased in size and expense, but the small tokens are the ones I remember the most. This, I think, because they were often purchased spontaneously, based on the pure thought of the person you love, my daddy, and with the sincerest wish to give him something you knew he enjoys. I remember one such time during a trip to Sears. You saw some chocolate-covered peanuts at the candy counter and thought of Daddy. On the way out of the store, we bought him a small bag of candy, and you let me give it to him upon our return. I will always remember the smile on Daddy's face and on ours when we handed it to him. I don't know why that moment sticks with me. I guess I realized that even when you are apart, people that you love still think about you. It shows me that little things mean a lot. It taught me that it does not take much to let those around you know you care. I love you, presents. What a beautiful concept. Lesson 5. Take care of yourself. Have a me day. Mom, the me day is another wonderful concept I learned from you. It is also one that I probably abuse much more than I should. It is surprising how many women do not know how to pamper themselves. Many people that I know don't even know what makes them happy. I often share the me day theory with them, and each time I silently thank you for sharing it with me. Me days increasingly became important in my life during my college days. I remember I would share my latest frustration with you and Daddy. Frequently, within a few days, I would receive a beautiful card in the mail with some money and a note telling me to have a me day. I recall one particular turbulent time when my midterms had not gone so well, and I was having problems with one of my classmates at college. Once I received your direction to have a me day, I did. I got on a bus and went to the mall. There I saw a movie, bought an outfit, and topped off the evening by eating at Piccadilly's cafeteria. I felt so much better. Over the years, I've worked hard not to associate me days with spending money as much as taking the time to do something that makes me happy. Today, my me days consist of a simple driving around Annapolis or a neighboring town, going for a walk, or redecorating a room. It is like the old adage, stop and smell the roses. Me days are my times to do just that. It stresses that lesson you taught me, that particularly in times of adversity, it is important to take care of myself. When I return to reality, I always find that the forecast does not nearly look so bleak. Lesson 6. Don't be afraid to be creative. Unless you try to do something beyond what you have already mastered, you will never grow. Mom, I want you to know that the joy I find in making things and decorating comes from you. I attribute this behavior to 2 distinct activities we would do when I was a kid. You used to collect material, and on wintry, rainy days or during summer vacation, we would make things, all kinds of things. We began by decorating syrup bottles by gluing on them aprons and hats. Later, we made halter tops, wraparound skirts, and gauchos. I remember the pride and feeling of accomplishment I had whenever I could say I made something myself. I appreciated and enjoyed the process of seeing how something could change shape. The simple transformation of a piece of cloth into something usable was exciting to me. I loved how we would often use our own imaginations and not even bother with any patterns. Another fond memory involved our redecorating efforts when we moved from place to place. I thought it was fun to figure out how we could reconfigure what we had to fit into our new home. I found it fascinating how we could pick up pillows, change wall colors, or buy a new bedspread and make what we had look completely different. In short, I learned from you not to be afraid to be creative. I learned how to make the best use of what I had. Moreover, I learned that all processes have a beginning, middle, and end. If I stick it out to the end, I can create something new and beautiful. Lesson 7. I've never felt alone because you would always say to me, if I could, I would. Mom, if I ever forgot any of the many, many wonderful lessons you taught me on how to deal with life's issues, I always remember you asked me to carry the thoughts from a Dorothy Hewitt poem in my heart forever. If I could stand beside you always, I would. If I could carry you over all the obstacles, I would. If I could turn your tears to laughter, I would. If I could tell you all that will happen to you, I would. But I can only tell you one thing with certainty. I love you. And I hope my love will shine on all your tomorrows and brighten every step you take in the future. Mom, I want to share these final thoughts with you. Many moms are pretty. Many moms are nice. Many moms are loving and care with all their might. But you are a very special mom. The very best mother ever. You are all those mothers rolled into one. And that is why I will love you forever. Your adult daughter, Vicky. Introduction, Dad. Daddy, from the time I was a very little girl, I appreciated the fact that you are a great father. As I grow older, the more I also understand that you are a wonderful person. I see your quite caring ways, your humor, and your sense of fair play. With this book, I am celebrating you, a warm and gifted man who has given so much to all who know you. I love you, Daddy, and I only hope that this book gives you at least a small inkling of how much. Everything I am and ever hope to be is because of you. Your loving daughter, Vicky. Lesson 1. You can visit those you love every day through memories and thoughts of them. Lesson 2. If somebody really loves you, he will travel over land and sea and move heaven and earth to be with you. The first time my heart broke was the day you left for Saudi Arabia. Though I was just 6 years old, I swear I never before or since felt such a pain and loss as I did that day. Even now, when I fly into a small airport, I visualize myself crying on the other side of the fence. I remember being completely devastated and inconsolable. During the months that followed, I learned some of the greatest love lessons of my life, not the least of which was an appreciation of how much I love my daddy. While you were away, Mom and I spent each day of the week planning what we would send to you. We made cookies, which I'm sure grew stale long before they reached you. I wrote letters and drew pictures. Mom pored over newspapers from that week to find just the right "I love you this much" illustration to include in the package. We spoke of you every day and thought of you nearly every moment of the day. The Schilling Manor subdivision on the Air Force Base in Salina, Kansas, was an unusual environment. The fathers of the classmates at Schilling Manor were dying regularly in Vietnam. Of course, since I was only a year when you left for Vietnam, I don't remember that time in my life. However, I was now 6 years old, and your being in Saudi Arabia didn't mean I did not worry. The Christmas 1971 was extremely sad without you. But our joy returned when you came back for my birthday in February. You just told me a few months ago about the difficulties you endured traveling home to us. I just remember how excited Mom and I were to see you. I took you to school and recall obnoxiously pointing to you and to my friend, Charles, because you guys shared the same name. The trip is the first time I realized how much you very, very loved me. You loved me enough to come back, especially for my birthday. So, when you returned to Saudi Arabia, it was not as hard to see you go. I knew I would see you again soon. The fathers of my classmates were still dying regularly, and a month or so after you left, Charles's father was killed in Vietnam, and he had to go abruptly and live with his grandparents. Every Sunday, the minister would name families that had suffered losses. Each day, a stand in front of the PX sold missing in action bracelets. I found some comfort in knowing that you were not in Vietnam. This experience, however, forced me to realize at a very young age how fortunate I was to have you, and I vowed in my own childlike way to never take our love for granted. I carry a lot from our time in Salina. I learned that a person's physical absence completely changes your life. However, a special place in your heart and soul belongs only to them. You can visit those you love every day through memories and thoughts of them. And though you may not be able to speak to them directly, they know how you feel. Last but not least, if someone really loves you, he will travel over land and sea and move heaven and earth to be with you. Lesson 3. There is joy in reading. Daddy, I can still remember when a part of me hated the idea of having to learn to read. Then I recall that each night you began standing by my bed and reading stories to me. I really enjoyed hearing you read to me. I just loved your voice. However, you soon began requiring me to read small portions of the book to you, then longer portions, and then longer and longer portions. Eventually, I was reading the entire book to you. Daddy, I thank you for teaching me to enjoy reading, yet I must tell you that secretly I longed for the good old days when you read to me. Lesson 4. I can handle changes in my life and stay focused and happy if my sense of self is based on the one thing I've learned that does not change: the love my parents have for me. I read somewhere that the symbolic flower of military brats is the dandelion. This is because a simple change in the wind transplants the dandelion seed. It, however, will grow and thrive wherever it lands. While I should resent this comparison to a weed, I acknowledge and value the characteristics that the analogy symbolizes. Being an Army brat is a situation that only others who share the same fate can completely understand and appreciate. Because we move so much, I find my attachments are not to places like schools or particular people per se. I reflect fondly on places and people based on their involvement in my life, and mine and theirs at a particular time. The very nature of my life required me to acquire a very healthy appreciation for the inevitability of change. Moving from place to place so frequently forced me to live in the moment. As you may recall, I would make friends quickly. We would have fun and enjoy each other for the moment with the full understanding that eventually they or I would leave and have to begin again. This ability to adapt to ever-changing environments and situations has served me well. I realize that everything must change and that nothing stays the same. I find that my roots are not in a particular hometown, for example, but firmly implanted in a much more personal space, our little family unit. I believe I stay focused and happy because my sense of self is completely based on the one thing in life that does not change: the love my parents have for me, especially my daddy. Thank you, Daddy, for making me an Army brat and providing me fertile soil within which to grow. Lesson 5. Have confidence in yourself that you can make the right decisions in life. Trust your own instincts. Make the decision. Then readjust as you feel necessary in order to ensure it is accomplished. Selecting a college was the most difficult decision of my life to date, bar none. I felt blessed to have several schools vying for my attendance. 2 offered full scholarships and others provided offers that covered a substantial portion of the tuitions and fees. Yet, I knew from the moment I saw the campus and met some of the students that I belonged at Hampton. I was torn and tormented. Hampton was the most expensive of my school selections and offered the least amount of financial assistance. I did not want any college expenses to be an extreme financial burden for you and Mom. You sensed my internal turmoil and, on an evening I will never forget, you asked me to go for a walk with you. We talked about a few different things as we walked up the street in front of our house. As we headed back, we began talking about colleges. I shared my concerns about the cost, and your response to me was priceless. You told me my job was to pick a school I wanted. Yours was to worry about the rest. Wow. Wow. How selfless. How generous. How freeing. Happily, my very first life decision was right. I loved Hampton. You allowed me to follow what I believed to be the right choice for me. By so doing, I began to develop confidence, a trust in my own instincts, and in my general decision-making abilities. From that day forward, I approach each big decision by first searching for what I believe in my heart to be appropriate. I then would worry about the rest in order to ensure it is accomplished. Lesson 6. There's a special joy and comfort one gets in possessing a lifelong love of animals, especially cats. My first true and complete memory of a complete day is the day you brought Ticky home. I was 4 years old and I desperately wanted a cat. I saw pictures of me with a cat named Mickey when we lived in California, but I was too young to remember him. I realize now that you and Mom grew up as dog people, and with Mickey's untimely demise, I am certain another cat was not necessarily top on your list of pet choices. Yet, there you were, walking down the long sidewalk in front of the house, wearing your uniform, with a terrified kitten affixed to the front, all claws out. It was the funniest sight ever. Of course, Ticky was a member of our family for the next 18 years. This was evident not only to us, but also to everyone who knew us. To this day, whenever I see people that knew me during the Ticky years, they mention him. Your bringing Ticky home that day began a lifelong love of animals and, of course, cats in particular. I enjoyed my cat Shadow until he died. I am not sure why you and Mom called him the big bad cat from the city. When I come home, I go visit Ticky and Shadow at the pet cemetery in Putnam County where you had them buried. Now, my cat Ike is in his 18th year. So in memory of Ticky, I consciously try to take an extra moment each time I hug Ike to thank God and you for letting me know the joy and comfort that these furry little creatures bring to my life. Lesson 7. It is important to give freely of your time, talent, and energy to help others. In my opinion, the theme of your best speech you ever wrote was that no one lives in a vacuum. I believe you prepared it for a presentation to graduates of your high school. Though the school was honoring you for your accomplishments, you chose to take the opportunity to discuss how many of the people in that large auditorium and in your life had influenced you. Some of those people you said were your role models, some were mentors, and some were both. You explained to me that role models can come into your life in a variety of ways. They can be your parents, teachers, relatives, classmates, and just ordinary people you encounter in life. You told me that people you were singling out in your speech were people who inspired you in some positive way that had a positive impact in your life. You also shared with me that during your career in the military, you were blessed to have a sergeant and several commanders who developed a mentoring relationship with you. You said that a lot of the success you had in the military resulted from the guidance, motivation, emotional support, contacts they shared, and resources they provided to you. You spoke of the decisions that you made in life that were a direct result of your encounters with your role models and mentors, and how they led you to your success. I wish I could have been there. Yet, the lasting impression from your reading that speech to me at the kitchen table is that simple things mean a lot. Acts of kindness, words of encouragement, giving another person a hand up, not a handout, may be all that is needed to propel them to achieve great things. In addition, once they are in a position to, those you have helped will often do the same for others. You reinforce this every day by your devotion to teaching, participation in civic activities, and general kindness to others. Your commitment is unmatched. You take your organizational responsibilities as if they are your second, third, and fourth jobs. You make time for everyone needing your assistance. You provide sound guidance to anyone seeking your advice. Put simply, you give unconditionally and, as a result, have touched and changed countless lives. I could never be the great human being that you are, but I try to invoke your spirit in the things that I say and do. I know that no one lives in a vacuum. I understand that I may never know the impact even the briefest of encounters may have on another person's existence. Yet, I should assume that the impact would be great. Consequently, I must gauge my actions and reactions accordingly and give freely of my time, talent, and energy. Lesson 8. Intelligent opinions about and responses to a topic or concern requires thorough, detailed research from reputable sources. My appreciation and later acquisition of your ability to research and develop an intelligent response to a topic or concern was gradual and done so reluctantly. I remember sometimes hating to tell you my homework assignments. I knew that you would begin by telling me to look it up in each of the encyclopedias. That was fine and essentially where my friends began and ended their studies. Not me. Once I had a general understanding of the topic, you strongly encouraged me to use our home and public libraries to search for other related books and articles. Occasionally, you had me interview your friends and colleagues who worked in the related field. As a result, my responses to essay questions and other homework assignments tended to be advanced and well beyond my years. Case in point, my first research paper was an exploration of the Brown versus the Board of Education case. Mind you, I was just 11 years old and in the 5th grade at the time. I received an A. Over time, I really began enjoying identifying a topic of which I knew nothing and then divulging into books and articles to learn as much as I could about them. My job at State's Library just fed this growing passion. Moreover, I knew I was truly your daughter when my college friends would ask me to help them get information for their papers, and I gladly accepted their request for help. In fact, I loved it. Today, I never take words or comments on face value. I do not assume the accuracy of statements or data just because the source appears reputable. Titles and degrees do not intimidate me. I realize that everyone has an opinion, including me. I simply must always attempt to ensure mine is well-founded and supported. Lesson 9. It is important to make laughter a part of your life. No matter what's going on in your life or in the world, fill your home with laughter and surround yourself with people you enjoy. Daddy, one of the greatest gifts God gave me was your laugh. It is robust, It causes our smiles to deepen, our eyes to sparkle and tear up, and we giggle as if to allow our whole body to share in the experience. It is infectious. It prompts at least a smile and often a laugh from anyone around us, even if they did not find the event that instigated our reaction that funny. One of the greatest gifts you gave me was the desire to search for opportunities to laugh. I first learned the importance of laughter through our weekends together. I remember when I was very young, you and I would spend Saturday mornings watching cartoons. I would snuggle up next to you on the couch and laugh each time you did. What you may not have known is that I rarely understood the jokes from the programs. I just could not resist sharing a giggle with my daddy. It made me feel so good. In later years, I noticed that you would begin each day by reading the comic sections of the newspaper. I enjoyed glancing over to watch you sipping your coffee while chuckling and laughing at the commentary. Then, with a smile on your face, you would share with Mom and me the comic strips that you found particularly funny. These acts of yours symbolized a great deal to me. I learned that laughing with those you love makes you feel good and generally happy inside. Moreover, if you begin each day with laughter, you can withstand anything, even news relaying all of the ills of our society and world. Thank you, Daddy, for instilling in me a never-ending quest to be amused and have fun. Because of you, I ensure that laughter is a part of every day of my life. I make sure my home is filled with laughter. I surround myself with people I enjoy, and most importantly, no matter what is going on in my life or in the world, being able to find the funny has helped lend perspective to the situation. Lesson 10. The recipe for raising happy children is to marinate them in love for about 18 to 21 years. Fortunately, the Lord has allowed me to bask in your love for more than 40 years. As a result, I am essentially a happy person. I attribute my internal general sense of well-being to that fact that you provided me in its purest form, the greatest gift anyone can give another. That gift is unconditional love. I feel that you truly love me without judgment or reservations and sincerely, despite my many faults. This is not easy. I find that I still look to you to help guide me through various life situations. To brighten otherwise mundane days, I call just to hear you say, "Hi, love," and then I hear you call out to Mom, "It's my baby." I realize I continue to seek your counsel and advice regularly, though I should probably be more self-reliant. In addition, I appreciate an attempt to learn from the truth, honesty, respect, trust, loyalty, and understanding you have exhibited with each response. I continue to strive to learn by your example how to accept others for whom and what they are. This book has been my humble way of discussing a very few of the many, many ways you've showed me you care and consequently shaped my life. Yet, with all that I have said, words cannot express how grateful I am to have you as my daddy. Thank you for being you and for loving me. I may be Mom's adult daughter, but I am your baby. Always. Vicky.